Hi, my name's Edward Mariyani-Squire. I'm the unit coordinator for Seminal Papers in Business. For all issues related to this unit, I'm the person to talk to. In this unit, we will be looking at, as the title suggests, Seminal Papers in Business. What do we mean by these terms? Well, when we're talking about a paper here, we're meaning, say, a journal article, but we could also look at a chapter from a book or something like that. When we're talking about business, here we're talking about the various disciplines within the School of Business. So the fields of economics, accounting, marketing, management, finance, these are the sorts of areas that we will be looking at. When we talk about the term seminal here, we mean an article or a chapter or a book, some academic item of writing that has had a significant impact, at least on its own disciplinary area, if not beyond it. And what do we mean by a significant impact here? We mean that it has contributed to, for example, the destruction of a major theory or a major school of thought or a worldview, and or the construction of a new alternative, a theory or paradigm or worldview which has caught on within a disciplinary area and perhaps beyond it. So a seminal paper here is usually in some way a bit of a game changer. It doesn't mean it revolutionises the world or anything like that, but it has some kind of impact that is substantial within its disciplinary field. This doesn't mean that it's incredibly highly cited, although that tends to be the case. But there are lots of articles that have been regularly cited, which no one would regard as seminal. So sometimes you get a survey piece or a review of literature which is cited by many people, but no one would regard it as seminal because it doesn't make any substantial mark on the discipline. Anyway, enough of that. What do we do in this unit? Well, what the unit is really about is teaching you how, or improving your ability to engage in critical analysis. That's really what the kind of skill that we're working on here. And we do that via the seminal papers, because in the vast majority of cases, the seminal papers themselves engage in a critical analysis. So we'll be able to see critical analysis at work in a famous paper. We'll be able to engage in critical analysis of that paper. And in this way, we can, in a kind of learning by doing plus observation method, start to develop skills in this particular area. Each week there'll be different seminal papers, and very often I'll have a guest speaker come in to talk about that paper that they think is particularly important to them. In fact, each guest speaker that comes in will have nominated the particular paper that you will be reading before you come to the session. Incidentally, all of these sessions will be online via Zoom until further notice. Who knows when that will be. So you should bear that in mind. When you go to the Views website and download the learning guide, you'll also see the learning modules. And within each of the learning modules, you'll find links to the material you need for each class, and I'll provide you with Zoom links. In the first couple of weeks of this unit, it will basically be, there won't be a seminal paper, we're going to do a kind of crash course in rhetoric and argumentation, and also looking at what analysis involves and what a critique would involve. There's different types of critiques. So we'll do a crash course in that for the first 2 weeks, and thereafter the seminal papers will start. So in week 3, we'll have Dr. Heath Spong coming along and talking about a paper by famous economist von Hayek. After that, we'll have Francine Garland coming along and talking about one of the fathers of marketing, a guy named Alderson. Then it'll be me again, the week after that, talking about John Kenneth Galbraith and his view on the role of marketing by corporations. And then me again in week 6, talking about a famous article by the economist Milton Friedman. In week 8, we'll have Dr. Jessica Richards come along, and she'll be giving a talk that I think is going to be about the relationship between marketing and sociology. We'll have to wait and see. I think that will be a little surprise. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Then there's me again, talking about a paper by Deirdre McCloskey. After that, we'll have Dr. Peter Humphreys from accounting talking about a paper by a former academic named Hines. Then we will have Dr. Margaret Musa talking about what's really a profoundly philosophical piece of work by the German philosopher Hegel about the relationship between domination and submission, between the master and the slave, and how that could be relevant to all sorts of different areas within the fields of business. Then we'll have Louise Ingersoll, and she will be talking about issues related to management, and you'll have a seminal paper about that. We'll have to wait and see what that one is. Then we'll have Jeffrey Marzuki from the field of property, and he'll talk about property in investment portfolios. And lucky last, but not least, we'll have Dr. Walid Bakri talking about a famous article on the efficient market hypothesis by Eugene Farmer. So that's really the topic areas and the guest speakers for each week from this week till week 14. We won't have any mid-semester break. We're a special group of students for that. But we will meet every Friday at 1 p.m. and we'll go until we finish, which is timetabled for 4 p.m. We'll see how it goes. But that's every Friday for the next 14 weeks. As you'll see from the learning guide, there are 3 forms of assessment. There's an essay, it's worth 30%, an oral presentation worth 20%, and a critique worth 50%. So that's that. I look forward to seeing you on Friday. If you've got any questions, please feel free to email me and I'll answer for you. In the meantime, you can relax a little bit.